Welcome to the Chronically Will podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard. On today's episode, we have the honor of speaking with Nyasha. Nyasha is someone who I frequently see in the social media space, and I can tell that she's doing some things that we as a community need to be at the forefront with helping her and guiding her and supporting her, because she's definitely someone that needs to be heard in this space. Nyasha, I also see you as a new mother that's also tending to and handling family business at the same time. So yes, I thank you for joining me on this journey. I know it's something that you've been wanting and waiting to hop on this voyage. And again, I appreciate you. Nyasha, could you give the community a summary of who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a hard question, right? Because we're so many things, but I think I my identities have shifted over time as I've also grown. But at my core, currently, I think the most important role I hold is as a mother, but I'm also uh a person with a lot of feelings and experiences. I'm a community worker, youth worker, and somebody who's really invested in seeing especially Black folks, but communities of color in general thrive and have access to healing tools and techniques within communities. So I think that's like what is most important to me. I'm also somebody who lives with type 1 diabetes, and I think that in the last few years, as when I got that diagnosis, and as I've been like navigating a lot of my health issues, it's also something that I don't want to say I take pride in, but like I'm not ashamed of, you know what I mean? And that really does impact, as you know, like every little thing and every day and all the parts of my life. And I think especially as like a new mom and as a person that was pregnant previously, like it really came to the forefront in terms of like how I needed to take care of myself. Um, and I'm also someone that has like a lot of other diagnoses, and like I vibe with them in some ways, but don't in other ways. And so I think like I'm a complex person that has had a lot of different experiences that have shaped, my life and my life experience.
Well, just us being who we are, people of color, complex,
Yeah, absolutely.
living with chronic health conditions, complex.
Absolutely.
You being a new mother, complex.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in all actuality, there's nothing that's been placed in front of us that we as a people have not been able to handle over the years,
Absolutely.
even including our ancestors. They've given us, helped us, guide us with this will to win, not only to fight, but to win. The journey that's been placed in front of you is not one that you can't handle. It's yours, though.
Yeah. And like I feel like, like there's so many points where and I appreciate like group that you have us in, because I feel like there's so many points where I feel like, oh, I've got this. I'm so on top of this. I'm doing this, this, and this. And then like life happens and things unwind, and I'm like, I don't have control over this. I just want to give up. Like I just want to retire. Like I just want to, and I think like it's a lot of constantly coming back to the drawing board, and like one of the things that I tell myself a lot and tell people that I love, like you can always start over. like you can I just feel like I start over on so many things so many times, and like living with a chronic illness that's not going to go away. It's like a constant opportunity to start again and like try to build better habits, but I find myself having to like, I feel like I'm right back in a place where I'm like, I gotta start, I gotta lock in, I gotta start again.
And there's
Um,
there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with starting over, starting anew, starting fresh. Because I mean, as I said, living with a chronic health condition, our day-to-day management and routine changes. People
yeah,
on the outside, they see, okay, Will, you have type 1 diabetes. People who don't know anything about it, And they think that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you've had it for 21 years, so you got this. You manage it like you're at your best. Never at my best. Never managing. Because when you consider managing, that's like consists of like supervising, overshadowing, and looking daily, even minuscule portions to control it. No, I don't want that. I don't want that task. I did not ask for
Mm-hmm.
this job at all. Nyasha, you didn't ask for this task.
No, I
If
didn't.
someone gave you the option, take all of this garbage
Take
with
it
you.
off, man.
Take it all. I mean, even though I love the communities, I love what we've built here. I love the fact that in the Instagram group that I've created, that you can actually go into a search and type in certain things and it'll pop up.
Mm,
And like if you need help with any, like you can actually search that, and typically like
mm,
it will pop up. Like it's so easy for us
yeah.
to get that guidance, that support that's needed. But
Mm-hmm.
at any given moment, Nyasha, I'm with you. If we were, look, if I gotta climb a 50-foot building to rescue, I don't know who, infant, newborn, I'm gonna do that. So I won't have to have type 1 diabetes.
Man, for real. I would retire from this in a heartbeat.
Look, retiring at the young age of 30. Look, from diabetes, throw your jersey in the rafters, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of type 1 diabetes, so when were you diagnosed?
So I was diagnosed, are we in 2024? I want to say it was, oh my gosh. Okay, so well, let me just, I guess, take through the journey. So when I first was diagnosed, I think it was like 2020, maybe 2019. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I'm sure I should have looked this up. But I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And the reason for that was that my brother had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes a few years prior, and he's 4 years older than me. Um, and my years are off because it's all jumbled. But so whenever he got diagnosed with type 2, I went in to like get my A1C checked, and like it was like showing, kind of like borderline, and my doctor was telling me to do these different things, and I was like, okay, well, I eat well, I exercise, I don't really know what you want me to do. Um and then like, it kept going up. And so then like once I was over this threshold, it was like, "Oh, you have type 2 diabetes." Well, they put me on metformin, and like I was just like really sick from it. Like I had gained, like I gained a lot of weight. So I probably gained like 60 pounds in a year, but it was like unexplained and kind of just really confusing. And I was just like, yeah, like metformin was like making me really sick. And I was like, so I was like, well, I want to like test my blood sugar. So I was like finger sticking, and I was confused because like it was just not matching up with what they were telling me was supposed to happen. So I had, learned like, oh, you can get a continuous glucose monitor, but insurance wouldn't cover it because I was type 2 diabetic, diagnosed at that time. And also, I I wasn't on insulin injections. And so they were like, well, you have to be on, in order to get this approved, you're going to have to be on like this, like insulin injections 3 times a day. You have to have glucose variability, from, I don't know, 70 to 400, like, and it's gonna have to show your data, something like that. So the first like CGM that I got, I paid for out of pocket because I was like, something is wrong. You people are not helping me, and like I'm not getting better. Like I'm not improving, and I'm like working out all the time. I'm eating. I'm doing juice cleanses. Like I was like doing like intermittent fasting. Like I was doing everything, like everything. And I was just sick. Like I would be playing basketball and my blood sugars would be like 400, and I would be like on the floor, like feeling like I was like, I don't know, like about to puke. And um, I was just not well. And so I kept like advocating, and finally, I was like, whatever, I'll take insulin. And I was just gonna like not take the insulin, but just get the CGM and tell them I was taking the insulin. One day, like I was so down bad, and I had this insulin prescription. It was a long-acting insulin prescription, but I didn't know much about insulin at the time. And I was just so sick where I was like, I'm gonna either like need to go to urgent care or something. And I went and like picked up the prescription. It was just like I took a dose. I didn't know what it was doing, but I was just like, before I go to urgent care, like I'm gonna try this little insulin thing because all my CGM says is high. So I don't know. And then I like finger sticked and it was super high and I was like dizzy and it was just like, what the hell is going on right now? I had just exercised. So I kept kind of going back to the drawing board, like, what's wrong? Like, y'all are giving me this medication. I'm not taking metformin. My blood sugar's not going down. Like, this isn't working. And so I had a nurse and she was like, have you ever been tested for type 1 diabetes? And I was like, what? I was
What's
like, I
that?
thought only kids. I thought only kids. I thought juvenile diabetes. I thought it was something that I couldn't have, you know?
So, did you think that with juvenile diabetes, that once someone was out of that juvenile age, it was gone?
No, I didn't think that.
Okay.
I just thought that it was only, I just thought, I didn't know because whenever I got diagnosed, it's like, you have type 2 diabetes. There was no interrogation, there was no extra testing, like, there was nothing. It was just an
Mhm.
A1C, and they told me I had type 2 diabetes. And so no, I just didn't know. I just thought I knew type 1 and type 2 were different. And I thought that like people develop type 1 in childhood. And I'm like, well, I didn't have this as a child. So when she said that to me, I was like, what? She was like, no, you can develop type 1 diabetes at different, like,
Any
it is an
age.
autoimmune disease, but like, and she was just saying, like, and then she looked at my chart and she was like, saying, like, none of the antibody, like, I didn't have any labs run. And so I was like, what? And so then I was like, yeah, well, run me my labs because like I want to know like what's going on here. And then sure enough, a month later, they were like, oh, well, actually you have type 1 diabetes. This is how many, they were like, I don't know, whatever antibodies thing. And it's like the normal range is somewhere between 2 and 10. And it was like 300 or something. And then whatever other test. And so whenever that happened, and I won't tell too much about my brother's story, but it is connected. My brother had he had lost like 60, 70 pounds, and he was taking this medication for type 2. And he was so not well. And I was just like, bro, like, I have type 1. Like, what if you have type 1? Like, what if they didn't, what if they got it wrong? Where I had only been diagnosed type 2 for like a year and a half, he had been diagnosed type 2 for like 5 years. He was like really like, I feel like my brother was like gonna die. Like he was really like when he can't even look back at old pictures because he was so like, and people would be like, oh, you're so skinny. And I would be like, no, bro, like you don't look good. That's not right. Like. So, and he
Nyasha, am I
eventually,
am I about to get a double
yes,
diagnosis story
yes,
of you
yeah,
and your brother?
yeah,
Oh,
mm,
before you even dive into
yeah,
that, I wrote down a note. Not only does this diagnosis come with prejudice,
yeah,
racism, but it also
absolutely.
comes with ageism
Yes.
because 24, 25, 26, you and your brother diagnosis, you're still young. How can you tell someone at 24, 25 that you can't get the diagnosis that someone at 14, 15 can get?
And they
Like,
didn't even explore it. Like that was the thing. It was just like, and the confusing piece about it, Will, was like, my mom like raised us on organic foods and we were both athletes. We're both very active. We were at the time of diagnosis, both of us were like exercising all the time, eating well. And so people were telling us, or doctors are saying, shift this in your diet, do this, whatever. He was getting medication and puking all the time. And I was like, this isn't, he's like, I guess this is just diabetes. And I'm like, bro, like, we cannot live like this. Like, neither of us can live like this. Something is wrong. I'd be like, what's your blood sugar? He'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, what? But he didn't like, it was just kind of one of those things where you listen to the doctor, you think you've got good health care, and you just continue to go about it. And so it was really frustrating for me because I had been advocating for basically my entire diagnosis for what else is going on here? What are you all missing? What is wrong? And it took that amount of like such a long time for them to even say, let's try a test. And what I had heard later was, oh, it's expensive and they don't want to run the test for type 1 diabetes for everybody because the amount of people that actually have type 1 relative to who has type 2, like they're more likely to assume, oh, it's type 2 diabetes, especially if you've been diagnosed after a certain age. And I'm just like, that's so irresponsible. And so when we found out, like, and started talking to people, like met other people who were also misdiagnosed for years as having type 2, and it's a major problem, especially for Black folks, because they just assume you're eating unwell and you're not exercising and maybe you can go. And I'm not, this is not to like stigmatize folks with type 2, but it was like the lifestyle changes that they were talking to me about, that was already my lifestyle. So I was like, but like, what do you want me to do,
Like
and
you are an athlete. You are an athlete. Like
yeah, it's just, it was very like, I was very angered, and I like, in the midst of it, I ended up having this like really bad infection, had to get like emergency surgery, and was like down for the count for like, I had, go to urgent care in the ER. I was like almost in sepsis. Like it was just, but it was because, I mean, it was like I was getting all of these like, wounds and stuff, and they would just like not heal. And that was kind of like what that, like when I ended up in the hospital, like that was directly connected, to like my blood sugar also being like completely out of control, and like my immune response like being really diminished. Um and so I just went through so much like ups and downs around my health and didn't have any idea what was really going on. And so, my endocrinologist and I, we've had a long journey. He's very responsive to me now. He's still pretty,
you've been educating him as you've been educated, probably more so in the community. It's like
yeah.
a learning process together.
Yeah. He knows, like I shot it to him straight. Like, listen, like the reasons that y'all have not done a thorough analysis are connected, yes, to my race and my age. So let's just be real about it. Like that's just what it is. So I appreciate now. I feel like he's extra responsive to me. And I kind of, I was gonna think, he was like, I understand if you want to switch and get a new endocrinologist. I'm like, no, buddy, I'm about to rock with you because you ain't about to fuck with me again. Excuse
You
my
gonna
language.
look, you gonna learn today, right?
Yeah,
You
and
go.
I'm gonna hold you accountable. If I go to somebody else, they don't, and tell them my sob story, like it wasn't their fault. Well, for you, it was your fault. So we're definitely not forgetting that.
Right.
But I think like the things for me that are also, and I think I had mentioned this to you. So in 2018, I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder.
Mhm.
And then in 2012, I was diagnosed with narcolepsy. So before that, right? And both of those things, the narcolepsy and the bipolar disorder, and my blood sugar is not always stable, but relatively better, and at least managed, not maybe not managed, I don't know what the best word to use, being tended to via insulin. Like I haven't had like a manic episode or a depressive episode severely, and I also haven't had any like sleep attacks. And so I don't know what exactly the connection is, because I also don't think my blood sugars were unstable back in 2012 when I was diagnosed with narcolepsy, but obviously, like, fatigue and sleepiness, and then also like mood changes are connected to all these things that are going on with our endocrine system. And so having like, I feel like, and I'm not on any like bipolar medications anymore. I got off of them, and like I take vitamin D and insulin, like, you know what I mean? And I take my probiotics. Like,
Right.
so I don't know what, I think I'm still like kind of on a search for like, what is the connection between like, psychosis or like psychiatric challenges and diabetes? What is the connection between sleep disorders? I feel like there's some science in
Me,
there, and I've done some
there,
research, but I don't have all the connecting pieces. So
me.
that's, yeah.
I've been. living with it for 21 years. But if I tell you that, like, I've been researching diabetes even longer
Wow.
than that because I have a family history of it.
Mm.
And just to let you know, if you do a quick Google search of altered minds and type 1 diabetes, you're going to find everything you've been looking for because just that diagnosis, when I was looking at your notes of narcolepsy and bipolar 1, I was like, you may have been living with, which some consider like a lot of, like a,
Mm-hmm.
a latent autoimmune diabetes of adults. Like, you may have been living with that for upwards of 10 plus years. I've known
Yeah.
people that have lived with that, and what that
Mm.
truly is like an extended honeymoon phase
Yeah.
where even during your juvenile years, 14, 15, you may have not noticed, but because you were an athlete, you are an
Mm.
athlete. So you may have not noticed the different hormonal changes. I mean, you were a young lady also. So there's so
Yeah.
many things that could have been going on where
Yeah.
your parents may have looked at you like, Nia, come on now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, like you're like, some may have looked at you and may have said things such as, like, you're making it hard on us.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you make, like, why can't things be easier for you? Like, so and so isn't going through this, and comparing you to others, not knowing. And if you, like, today, you've had that autoantibody test, like you have the markers that are type 1 diabetic. So if at 14 and 15, you would have been given that autoantibody test,
Mm.
some of those markers would have shown up.
Yeah.
So there is a
Yeah,
direct
I was wondering.
connection.
I was wondering that though to your question, because not to interject, but just I was like, is it possible that I've been living with this for that long? Like, could I still be alive? Like, so hearing you say that, yes, it's possible. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is
Okay.
possible. I've known people of different races who have gone on, like, who have had a diagnosis early on because they may have had a sibling that was
Mm.
diagnosed, and then their parents pushed for them to get the autoantibody test. But knowing that your brother didn't get that autoantibody test because they directly said to him he had type 2 also before
Mm.
you, so given that you weren't even given that chance
Yeah.
because he wasn't given that chance. He was
Right.
neglected in his own health care
Yeah.
because of the medical professionals. So
Yeah.
just think, if your brother at 20, 19, 20 years old was giving this autoantibody test, and it said that he had the markers that would lead to type 1 diabetes. Then 4 to 5 years later, when you were given a diagnosis, you wouldn't have been given that diagnosis of type 2
Yeah. For
because
sure.
they would have already seen that your brother had these markers. So that's the first
Right.
thing they would have checked for. But instead,
Right.
them hearing that your brother had type 2, they said, oh, she has type 2 also.
Yeah. 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 And I also just think back, like, I feel like I've always had like a sweet tooth, but also just like like when I eat sweets, like an inability to stop. And I wonder if, and I know that's like, like when your blood sugars are high, like you crave more sugar. And so I wonder if even as like a kid, I was experiencing that because like, I wasn't allowed to have candy in my house. And when I would get it, like I was just like, ooh, sugar, candy, like, but otherwise I was like eating well, I mean, I also was a kid, but
Right.
it's
So another
interesting to
thing,
look back and think about, and the piece around like, I got this narcolepsy diagnosis. I started taking Adderall for it. Adderall eventually triggered my first like manic episode. And then I'm like in a psychiatric hospital on all these medications. And like now I'm not on none of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm cured or I don't have this mental health challenge because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I still do have like a level of
Mhm.
volatility from like a,
Right.
like I still feel like there's some ways that that diagnosis fits me, but in a lot of ways, I feel like my blood sugar stabilization has drastically changed my like mental state, And also my like I don't like I used to fall asleep driving, standing, walking. I still feel like I'm tired all the time, but like not to that extent. And I'm also just curious like what was going on in that sense. And so yeah, I'm like I also wonder, what could have been done when I was getting diagnosed with narcolepsy, which I was going through a lot of stuff. Like I was going to this sleep center. I went to Yale for college and I was in there like they have this whole like sleep center and I went through like sleep studies and
Did you
it was
just
a
like
very
did
thorough
you just try to
process.
like slide that in like that? I went to Yale for college and like
Yeah, I just slid it in because the point of it was that I was getting
ah,
like I was in a place where they were doing a lot of research on like narcolepsy and like so I was getting like really it felt like, good care in the sense of like really thorough. Like they did take a lot of tests.
come
I
on.
don't
I've
remember what
recorded
exactly they did,
I've
but
recorded with some people who are graduates of Cal, Berkeley, NYU. We got to put that Yale up there.
thanks, Will. I appreciate
So,
that. Yeah, back
uh,
back in another lifetime. Yes, I went
right.
to
Question.
yeah.
You have a meeting about the start, right?
No, no, I'm good. I just have to well, I'm not hearing my child, so I'm wondering if maybe he's asleep. So I was more so gonna get back to my
You could.
uh but no, I have some time. I'll wait if my partner comes out and is like, I gotta go, then I'll be like, I gotta go. But I do
Oh,
have a
okay.
little bit more time.
Okay. So I did want to let you know, when you were saying like you had that, like you basically you were hungry and nothing was suppressing that appetite, right?
Yeah.
So another hormone that we lack as people with type 1 diabetes is amylin.
Mm-hmm.
Amylin is a hormone that tells you like you're no longer hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that lives with type 1 diabetes lack that amylin hormone as well.
Because that's what I be feeling all the time, like with and I just want sweets to do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, so
It's so hard. I think you had posted that one time and I was researching it and I was like, yeah, I ain't got
yeah,
no amylin
look,
because,
I
honey,
post
I ain't got no amylin. Where's my amylin? Can I get some amylin? Can
look,
I shoot it some
eh,
amylin? I need some
so
amylin.
that there is a synthetic one that was used. So amylin was first come to fruition, discovered in the 1980s, like around 1987, I believe, 87, 88.
Okay.
And since then, like there's been a synthetic amylin. I can't recall the name of it, but I know there's someone in the Instagram group, Cameron. He actually used it, but
Okay.
many people don't use it today because of the side effects, nausea,
Mm,
vomiting, all of those things.
no fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, let's just be hungry.
Yeah. I'm so hungry right now.
Yeah, you're funny. So being diagnosed at when you were um quarter century the age 20 about 25, 24,
I
25.
was, yeah, well, no, I was diagnosed. What are we? I'm 30. I just turned 30. I was diagnosed with type 2. What are we, 2024? I think it was like 2022, 2020 maybe 2021. So then I was really
Pandemic.
only, yeah, I was only diagnosed with type 1 I think it's like 2 years now. I think it was 2022. So I think I was diagnosed with type 2 like a year and a half before I got my type 1 diagnosis. So 2020, 2021, and then 2022. It was like September. It was actually around now. It was like the end of September 2022 that I got my type 1 diagnosis.
I recorded with someone yesterday who was diagnosed only 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And when you hear that recording, you're gonna be like, you were only diagnosed 2 years ago? The way she talks about it, like
She knows everything. You learn
she's
so much. You skill
I
up. I mean, you
know it's
have
like you
to.
have to.
You have to.
I
And it,
would.
it feels in some ways it's like I hate to call it a superpower because I don't feel like it is, but I do feel like I've learned a lot about like how the body works and how, uh this young my friend's daughter who's like 6 years old was asking me when I was injecting insulin, oh, what is this? And I was telling her, this is my medicine. Most people's bodies naturally produce insulin and it helps when you eat foods that turn into sugar, but my body doesn't produce that, so I have to inject it. And it was kind of a cool moment to be like, I'm teaching this little 6 year old about like, I'm not a doctor. I don't really know, like, but I've had to learn about like what's happening in my body and how my body works. And even like in that stretch, that year and a half where I was diagnosed type 2, like I was doing a lot of self exploration because I wasn't getting these answers from my doctor, right? And I was doing a lot of research. And I was like, at the time, also very much dealing with the impacts of my bipolar disorder. So I was also just like kind of people don't like the word crazy, but I was just kind of crazy. But I was
You were
like,
on
I'm crazy,
fire.
but like I know that there's something going on here, and these got me effed up, and it was just
Hmm.
like it was a whole thing because it was also like I'm not physically well. My body has shifted so much, like I think one of the things for me is like because I was gaining weight, I think that was another thing that made them tell me I had type 2 because I had been historically a very thin person, but I was getting like just gaining weight. So it's like, oh, well, you're gaining weight. So you must be doing something to cause that weight gain. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I be biking, I play basketball, I swim, like I be eating okay. Like, I'm not a college athlete anymore, but like I don't know why I'm just gaining weight every single day, and so like my body changing too. Like I didn't know this body I was in. I still don't. Like currently I'm like I don't really know this body. Um But I think that also added to that stigma, right? It was like, oh, you're overweight. And so that means that you're doing something health-wise that's not right. And I also in my mind had associated type 1 with weight loss, with people like kind of more so what happened to my brother. Like I gained 60 pounds, he lost 60 pounds. I was like, man.
Y'all were weighing each
So
other out like.
we like the same height. We was like 100 pounds different. Like I was like, this is crazy.
That's funny. So,
But yeah. So it's just been a journey. As you know, I mean, you've been journeying for much longer than me and so connected to so many folks who have also been on this journey.
look, no matter, I mean, my 21 years to your 2 to 3 years, there's no greater difference because we both have to depend on man-made insulin. We both have to depend
Yeah.
on this technology. We both are seeking communities and trying to make sure everyone has access to the things that are needed. And we both, I
Yeah.
mean, we're truly just fighting this fight. We're on this
Yeah, man.
journey. Like, I mean, if look, let's treat this like a game of like Candyland. We know where we're headed. But if somebody want to push me off of this journey, they can. Like, you can win. You could win in this game of diabetes. I mean, I choose to go play a different sport.
No, for real,
Right.
man.
So I hope
Uh,
that your brother, I know particularly for men, it's a lot different. Like
mm,
joining these kind of communities, accepting this diagnosis. I hope that your brother is equally able to accept it as you are, and if not, that you're able to just, share with him some tidbits, like this is what I do,
yeah.
like those types of things. It'll wear off on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, for sure. I mean, he teaches me a lot. He's a much more meticulous person than I am. So, like, I'll be like, yeah, I use that needle like, I don't know how many times. I don't be changing my needles. And, like, I don't tell nobody. Like, every time I inject myself, I'm like, I'm not putting a new needle in, man. I eat too much. Like, and I know that's not like the safe practice, but I be watching him. He got his like whole box, his corner, his diabetes corner, and my life is just not
look,
as quite. I am not as quite put together as my brother in terms of managing my
man.
diabetes. I think he's a lot better at that.
I stopped using pens only like 4 years ago or so. I
Okay.
I have pens, boxes of pens that are dated back to 2012.
Oh
Like,
wow.
I don't know when the last time I ordered a new one, even though I just stopped using pens 4 years ago. But I don't feel as I feel like I have a lifetime supply of those, and
The needles.
yeah,
Yeah.
the lancets,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Nee, you've been on this journey fighting to get your diagnosis, and you've been telling the medical providers like, listen to me, hear me now, and they're listening to you and they're hearing you now. But I must ask you as we do wind down, because I know you have like as a parent, me being a parent of three, I know that there are things that go even in front of diabetes, even though we can't do anything without taking care of this. Taking care of your child is number one, right?
Hmm.
Diabetes, I mean, I know, I remember those days. Like, I need to hurry up and change this, but then I got a baby crying. Like, I got to tend to this baby first, right?
Hmm.
Just like right here in this recording, you got to tend to that baby first,
Hmm.
no matter what. I have
Hmm.
to ask you, on the day, it's coming. A cure is here.
Mm.
Nia, Nia, on that day, a cure is here. What do you do?
On the day that a cure is here? On the day? I mean, what? I'm calling my nurse, my doctor. I'm writing emails. Hold on, where's my cure at? Can I get my cure? But I feel like also it's like who gets access to it, and it's something I think a lot about, seeing folks that don't have access to their insulin, the folks that don't have access to testing supplies, things like that, just realizing like, how much inequity there is. So somebody gonna get that cure before a lot of us get that cure. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so my eyes are open to see who's getting the cure and how we gonna raise some hell, because we probably gonna have to raise some hell to
Make
bring the
sure
cure our way.
make sure we get that cure.
We need to get that cure. Yes, first. No, not first, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Um, yeah. One day. It should have been here. I feel like it's already here, low key. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, what's going on? Like, what's taking this long?
There's so
I'm
many different
confused.
aspects to this cure, and I try to break this down to people all the time. Um, there's never been a cure to anything where you've had to regenerate cells.
Mm,
Like literally, we lost the function of our eyelid beta cells. So the
right.
first thing we have to think about, how are we going to get those beta cells back?
Sure.
So
Okay.
there are studies going on, clinical trials, where people have been transplanted islet beta cells. It took many years for scientists to even know that that was the functioning thing to type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
Like people thought it was just the pancreas. Okay, let's do a pancreas transplant.
Right.
But yeah, those islet beta cells, like they've been regenerating them. And
Mm,
there's Vertex Pharmaceuticals has clinical trial that's been going on for the last like 4 to 5 years, where
yeah.
they've had upwards of 10 to 11 people that have not had to use insulin for the last 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
And now they're working on a process to where they won't have to use all anti-rejection meds, so
Oh,
auto
wow.
immunosuppressants. So they will take these cells and put them in a pouch and you'll just get that pouch inserted into you.
Hmm.
And clinical trials are looking promising on that.
Okay.
So
Cool. Well, shoot, I'll
I
stay connected because I know you know the everything, the forefront of happening in terms of diabetes research and that stuff. There's yeah.
yeah.
In the meantime, I'm grateful for insulin. You know what I mean? I am very grateful for insulin, and obviously, right? We need it to survive, and just thinking about, I feel though like a lot of gratitude that like I can survive with this
Mhm.
disease, because 105
Right. When we think just like
years ago,
four
you would just
generations ago,
die.
like
Yeah, you just
literally
die.
4 generations, great great
So,
grandparents.
I'm grateful for insulin, and I'll keep, maybe one day I'll transition to the pump, but for now I'll keep shooting myself up on the regs, and just be grateful that I can survive and live a decent life, and grateful that like there's all these different apps where you can find how much carbs is in something, and like you can look things up on the internet. I think about folks who didn't like didn't have access to like look something up, you know what I mean? To figure out, well, how many carbs am I about to eat? Um, or just labeling on packaging that says how many carbs are in something, you know? So there's a lot of ways in which I've entered this diabetes chat at an already much advanced stage than I talk to people. Well, yourself, I'm sure you've seen the technology and the things transform and where we are now, you know, compared to where we are even 20 years ago.
Right.
And
And
the fact
that's
that it is pretty, it is cool. I'm appreciative of that.
it's advancing at a fast pace. I'm telling you, and
Yeah.
I love it
Yeah.
because I mean, just to think about like when I was diagnosed, I was using NPH. That's regular and that's regular insulin, like a mix.
Mm,
And today, like that's obsolete. Like,
okay.
and I mean, today we're able to, like I said, like this community that we have of people living with type 1 diabetes. Whoever thought that you could find your people other than like you're an athlete. I'm an athlete. We always had our people,
Yeah.
right? But
Right.
this community really down to die for you.
Yeah,
Like
no, for real. Yeah. Yeah. It's different. Well, I hate to cut off. Well, I do hear my
I
baby
got you.
screaming and I'm gonna go nurse him.
Ni
Uh,
Nyasha, I
yes.
thank you for joining me on this journey that is the Chronically Well podcast, where we have real conversations with community that need to be heard. Because Nyasha, you are someone that truly needs to be heard. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Will. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Handle your
Take care.
business.
All right, I will. Bye bye.